Hello. Welcome back to Life After Plus One. I'm Leanne, your podcast host and your single parent mentor and coach. And hello from wherever in the world you are listening to me. I'm here on the Central Coast, which is just north of Sydney in Australia. And I know there's plenty of you listening in some amazing countries all over the world. So hello and thank you for jumping on and listening week after week. And for those of you that are new here, hello and welcome. And I hope you find this a place that you come back to regularly and you get some juicy information that helps you with where you're at in life at the moment. And today I want to talk about when should you introduce a new partner to your kids? It's a big question, isn't it? When do you do it? When's the right time? How do you know what to do? So today we're going to jump into that. So stay tuned. Welcome to the Life After Plus One podcast, where we turn life's lemons into delightful lemonade. Get ready for inspiring stories, uplifting conversations, and all the tips and tricks to rock your single parent journey with style. I'm your host, Leanne, and it's time to embrace the adventure of Life After Plus One. So let's dive in. So let's talk about it. When do you introduce a partner to your kids? Now, the thing is, there is no set date. There is no rule. There's no black and white answer here. There is no guidebook or no answer to say, okay, you've been together 6 months. It's time to introduce them to the kids. It doesn't work like that. The only answer or the only person or people that will know is you and the person you're in the relationship with. Only you two will know. And that's based on you and it's based on your partner, your relationship, and where you guys are at. So let me talk about today some things that can really help you confirm or clarify if you're at the right stage of introducing your partner to your kids. Now, but one thing that I do want to address before I do jump into this is that you're never going to know from the get-go if this relationship is going to last. Unfortunately, if we all had that golden or that magical ball that we could just see into the future and we could tell if this relationship was going to last, wouldn't that be great? I mean, if we all had one of those, no one would be going to a breakup. So unfortunately, there's going to be times when you do introduce your kids to a partner where it doesn't work out. So you can't be hard on yourself for doing that. But the purpose of this is to really make sure that you're in the right place in yourself, in your relationship, and with your partner before doing it. Because it is one thing to go into a relationship and it ends and you break up. And it's unfortunate, but it does happen. But you don't want to get into the space of just keep going through this cycle of meeting someone new and introducing them to your kids at each point. Your kids don't need to meet every person that you date, especially if it's not someone serious. So let's talk about some things to know or some things to really look at in yourself and your relationship to determine whether or not this is someone you should introduce to your kids or not. Now, the biggest thing, and it's one that's overlooked a lot these days because people don't like to talk about things, but it is a necessary. You need to be able to communicate with your partner. So this point is, have you had the discussion with them about the future of your relationship? Now, sometimes people go into a relationship and you're together for a certain amount of time. So you just both think that you're wanting the same things. You both just think that you're going in the same direction. You both just think that maybe eventually you'll end up living together. Where? Your house, their house, who knows? But you've never actually had this discussion. You're just both presuming because you're dating and it's going well, you're just hoping for the best. And you know what I think about that term, just hoping for the best. You never just hope. You've actually got to talk about things. So if you're wanting to introduce this person to your kids and you haven't had that discussion with them about, hey, where do you see this relationship going? Are you looking for long term? Are you looking to eventually move in together? Where do you see us in 12 months, 2 years, 5 years' time? Do you see us still together? And if they turn around and say to you, oh, that's too much pressure, I can't think about that, then to me, that's something I'd be a little bit concerned about, because if them talking about a future with you is too much pressure, then why do you want to introduce someone to your kids who can't talk about having a future with you? Because your kids are part of your life. That's part of your package. And if you're introducing them to someone that can't even focus on the future or can't even think about a future with you, why do you want to involve them in that? So if you're wanting to introduce someone to your kids, make sure you are on the same page. Make sure you've had that conversation about where your relationship is going. And instead of just thinking, oh yeah, we've been dating for so long, of course we want the same thing. I mean, hey, everyone thinks that when you're dating, after six months, maybe 12 months, maybe even longer, you just think, of course we want something long-term. We've been together for this long. Of course we do. So many people just expect it. But the next minute, boom, you're broken up, or you've been ghosted, or something's happened, or who knows, because you haven't had that conversation. You're just expecting things to go the way you wanted. Or maybe all of a sudden they got cold turkey and they all of a sudden disappeared. These things happen a lot. That's why there's so many breakups and issues in the dating world these days, because people are not communicating things. So never go into a relationship and just floating by and you've been together for a certain amount of period. You just think, oh, everything's fine. Everything's great. We have no problems. And then you introduce them to the kids thinking, yeah, it's all great. This is going perfect. Now the kids are involved. It's like one big happy family. Next minute, boom, they've got cold turkey. They've got cold feet, I should say, sorry. And they've just disappeared. And you're like, what the hell just happened? You haven't spoken about anything. You don't know. You don't know what they've got planned for the future. They might even be planning another job opportunity in another state. They might be planning to move away. They might have their kids that are further away, and they might be planning to live closer to them. Who knows what they're planning? But if you haven't discussed it and you don't know anything about their future, they don't know anything about what you want for your future, then that's an issue. You need to both be on the same page. You need to both have had the discussion about where you see your relationship going. They may just be happy floating on by, just having something casual. They can meet up with you on weekends, the occasional midweek catch-ups. You can have the phone calls. And for them, that's something they're happy with. But that doesn't cut it when you're involving the kids, because when you're involving the kids, that is going into commitment stage. That's a serious statement. That's a serious step you're taking when you're involving the kids. You're now all of a sudden like a big happy family, but you don't even know if that's where the relationship's going because you haven't had that discussion. So when you're wanting to introduce someone to your kids, please make sure you've had the discussion with them about what they're wanting. Where do they see your relationship going? They might say, oh, I haven't thought about it. They might say, yeah, of course I want to stay with you. I'm not going out. I'm not looking for anyone else. I'm happy here. This is exactly what I want. They may be happy to sit down and talk about where they want to live. Who knows? You may be younger adults and you may be thinking about having more kids. But wherever you're at, if they turn around and say to you, oh, I'm not interested in having this conversation. I don't want to talk about this. No, this is too much for me. Then that's a concern. That is a big concern. If someone cannot talk about a future with you, but wants to be introduced to your kids, which is something that involves a future together, then that's a concern. That's actually a bit of a red flag. Okay, so make sure you guys are thinking the same thing of where your relationship is heading. You've had the discussion about seeing a long-term future in your relationship, and that's just it. You don't just want to be dating casually and just introduce them and not know. They might just be happy with that casual thing. And they may have zero interest in wanting anything serious. And you may be thinking that this is something serious, and they may be thinking this is something fun on weekends. Have that discussion with them. And please remember, if they avoid that discussion, if they don't want to have it, if they don't want to talk about anything to do with the future of your relationship, then that's a sign that they don't really see one. Because anyone that saw a future with you, anyone that wanted something serious long term with you, would be comfortable in talking about it, because that's what they want. And that's really what you want in a partner. You want someone that knows what they want. So if you're dating someone who's possibly still going through the divorce process, they may still be Now, they may not be divorced. They may still have a lot of emotional ties or financial ties or all this stuff still caught up with their ex. And having a future together might be the last thing on their mind. And if that's where they're at, that's fine. But are they ready for a long-term commitment? Are they ready to be introduced to your kids? Are they ready to stick around for the long term? They're things that you need to know. Another thing you need to think about, and this step isn't just about the kids. Like, I don't want you to say, oh, but they're the kids. I'm the adult. I make the decisions. Yes, you do. But in this part, you need to make sure that the kids are in a comfortable place. Has it been a long enough time frame since you last broke up with their parent, with the other parent, I should say? Because if you've just recently broken up and then all of a sudden you've started dating again and all of a sudden you want to quickly introduce them to the kids, they're not going to be ready for that. They're not going to be ready for that. The kids need time to also process the breakup between you and the other parent. And you might be thinking, well, it's not their breakup. Who cares? You should care. You're their parent, because the kids dealing with their parents breaking up is a big deal for them. Going between two homes is a big deal for them. It's a lot to process for the kids. Then to throw into the mix a new person coming in who's going to be like a new father figure or a new mother figure is a lot. Make sure the kids are at a place where they're comfortable and they're ready to meet someone new. Have the discussion with them. Talk to them. Let them know that you've started seeing someone. Get their thoughts on it, or ask them the question without telling them that you're seeing someone. What would you think if I've been starting to date again? How would you feel if I went out and met someone new? Their reaction would tell you a lot. Their reaction is not going to control your world, but it will determine if they're ready to meet someone new. If their reaction from you saying that you're possibly looking at dating again, or you're possibly got someone new, and they don't react to it well, then you know they're not ready to meet someone new. You also, when you're meeting someone new, or when you're going to introduce them to the kids, when you should have that conversation to them about your future, you also need to have a conversation with your kids about what's happened, about the breakup, about splitting up with their other parent. You need to have these age-appropriate conversations so the kids understand what's happening. Because it's quite easy for kids when you're not explaining things to them properly. They're not understanding. All of a sudden you're in one home, then boom, next minute you're in two homes and they're being shuffled between two places, haven't been told anything. And that happens a lot. And then the kids grow up having resentment to one parent because they just think one parent's left them. And that's a normal thing or normal way for kids to think, because they haven't been told what's happened, even though it's not what the problem is. Even though that's not what's happened, the kids just look at it like, well, they just left. They just got up and left. So just make sure the kids are in a good headspace, or the kids have accepted the breakup. They're okay. They're not bitter. They're not angry. They've adjusted to the breakup. They've accepted that mum and dad are now separate, and they will be more accepting of someone new coming in. If they still haven't accepted the breakup between you and the other parent, then they're not going to accept a new partner into your world. And this is when new partners come in, and especially when they're older, the teenage years, they start to have resentment towards this other person. It's like, who are you? Who are you coming into my world? You don't want that. So make it as easy for them as possible, and make sure they're in a good headspace and have accepted the breakup before pushing a new person onto them. Another thing you need to really know about, or understand, or be aware of before you go into this or introducing a new partner to your kids is, are they in the same headspace? Are they ready to meet your kids, or are they just doing it because you're suggesting it? You don't want to put the pressure on someone to go and meet your kids if they're like, I'm not sure if I'm ready. I'd love to meet your kids, but I don't know if I'm there yet. I need to just make sure this is exactly what I want. Because this goes back to the first step in what I said. You need to make sure you guys both are on the same page with where you see the future of your relationship. And maybe they don't know yet. Maybe they're still a little bit undecided. Maybe they're still taking their time to get to know you, or to just enjoy the relationship when it's just you two. And maybe they're not ready to meet the kids yet. And that's okay. That's not a bad thing. You're allowed to take your time. So don't feel pressured or rushed to do anything. And don't feel put off or hurt or anything when your partner turns around and says, "Not sure I'm ready yet." And it's okay for that to happen. So please don't feel like you need to pressure anyone or you need to rush anything, or, don't feel like your relationship is doomed because they've said they're not ready to meet your kids. That's actually it's an excellent quality in someone to be able to communicate that to you. I'm not ready to meet the kids. That's a great thing, because most people will just go along with it even if they're not ready. I'm not sure I'm ready for this, but hey, they want me to meet the kids. I'll do it. I'll make them happy. That's a big move. When someone's doing that for all the wrong reasons, that's not a good sign in the relationship, because you want someone to meet your kids because they're ready to meet them. They see a possible future with you that they're going to be involved in. That's why you want a new partner to meet them, because eventually they will be involved in their lives. But if you don't see that happening with this person, then do not involve them. Do not introduce them. So make sure if you're wanting to introduce your partner to your kids, that's what they are wanting to. They're not doing it just to make you happy, and they're not doing it just because they feel like they have to do it. They're doing it because they want to do it, and they're really excited to have a future with you where the kids are included in that. Another big one is sometimes people take big steps in relationships when they see something is not working, or they see something like a red flag or something that's not right. So instead of actually addressing it and talking about it, because it's one thing that so many people are scared to do, they're scared to talk about things. So in their attempt to make things better is they put a Band-Aid on it by covering up with something else which they think is just going to make it better. For example, there might be things that are happening in the relationship that they're not liking. There might be all these red flags and things that are not sure about. So, hey, let's try and make it better, but we'll introduce them to the kids and they will see how happy we are and see how great we are all together, and that'll change everything. No, please don't do that. Please do not do that. And it is not an uncommon trend for those things to happen where, for example, when relationships go into the shit and they see all these red flags and things are happening. So let's get engaged. It might make it better. Let's have a baby. It might make it better. Here's my kids. Come and introduce my kids. It might make it better. No, it just puts a Band-Aid on things and you're not dealing with anything at all. And that is not how you manage a relationship. And please, if that is you, let's have a chat, because you need to be able to communicate things in real life as adults. So if you're wanting to introduce someone to your kids as a way to hopefully make your relationship better, because you're seeing things that aren't right and you're fearful of the relationship ending, you're fearful of them leaving, you're fearful of it having to be a single parent again and having to go through that whole dating process again. So you cling on to it with all hope and just doing anything you can to make it work, and introducing them to the kids is one way of that happening. Don't do that, because you're not addressing anything that is not working. You're not addressing anything that you're not happy about. You're just pretending like it doesn't exist. And deep down, you know those problems are still going to be there. You know it's all going to happen. If you're seeing things happening that you don't like, if you're seeing red flags that are making you feel uncomfortable and you're not addressing it, you're just trying to make it better by putting a Band-Aid on it and giving them a nice, happy situation to deal with, or that they can see right now, that's not going to fix anything. So what happens if you introduce them to the kids and then 3 months down the track, then all of a sudden these red flags are there. They've moved into your house and it just gets worse and worse and worse, and these red flags just escalate. Then what? It makes it really hard to break up with someone when you've introduced them to the kids. It makes them really hard to break up with someone when they're living in your house. Now, I'm not saying stick in a relationship when you're not happy. I'm saying to take all the right steps beforehand so you don't get stuck in that situation. Make sure you've asked the right questions. You've done everything you can so you're not stuck in this tricky situation going, shit, this isn't what I want. I'm not happy, but I don't want to break up because they've met the kids. Now the kids like them, but I don't like them. I'm not happy. That happens all too often. So please make sure when you're introducing someone to your kids that you're doing it for the right reasons. You're not doing it just to try fix the relationship or just to try make it that little bit better or to try show them how much of a good person you are. So let's get them to make sure they stay with me so they can see how much of a good parent I am and they can see how good I am with the kids. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because you will regret it, and that is the completely wrong reason. And that's like forcing someone to stick around. In a way, it is. Because you want someone who wants to meet the kids. You want someone that's going to be like, yeah, I can't wait to meet your kids. I'm excited. And make a fun day of it. Instead of making it an awkward interview. You want to make it fun. You want to make it, and you don't want to put pressure on it for you, for your partner and for your kids. And when you're doing it for all the wrong reasons and you know there's something not right happening in the relationship, you're putting pressure on yourself, thinking, okay, I know there's things that's not working, but I'm going to make this work and I'm going to make them see how good my life is with my kids and they're going to want to stay. You're putting way too much pressure on yourself and on them. So just please remember, when introducing someone new to the kids, it's not just a matter of we're being together for X amount of time. It must be the right time. It doesn't go on a specific time frame that you've been together. You might have been together for 3 months and seen each other every single day. You might have been together 6 months and seen each other once a fortnight. It doesn't go on how long you've been together. It goes on how well your relationship is. How good are both of you together? How good you communicate and know what you both want for the future of your relationship and the future of both of you together. Do you see a future with this person? Or are you just hoping for the best? So please remember that when wanting to introduce someone to the kids, I want the kids to meet them, but I'm not sure. Are you sure where your relationship is going? And as I said earlier, you're never going to be 100% sure that that relationship is going to work out. It would be great if we did know that. But if you've taken the right steps to find out or to work out what you're both wanting, it makes it so much easier. And as I said, when you do have that conversation with someone and they're not willing to talk about the relationship the future of the relationship, then that's clearly your sign that that's someone that doesn't see a future, because someone that does will want to talk about it. Something to keep in mind. So just those points again, I'm going to run through them all with you. Just as a little reminder one more time. So have you had the conversation with them? Are you both on the same page with what you're wanting the relationship to be or where you're wanting it to go? Are you both wanting a long-term relationship with possible marriage down the track? Have you had that discussion? Have you had the discussion about possibly living together and where you would live, how it would work? Have you had these discussions? Or have you just been together for a certain amount of time and you just think, well, I guess it's the right time? No, know where you both stand. And remember, don't just guess or don't just presume that that's what they want. Talk to them, ask them, find out. Make sure you are both on the same page. Also, have your kids accepted the breakup with the other parent? Do not just rush straight into another relationship and then rush into introducing this person to the kids when the kids are still processing the breakup with the other parent. They haven't got through that. They're still processing. They're still adjusting to everything that's just happened with mum and dad. They're not ready to meet someone new. And as I said earlier, it's not about doing what the kids want or not about letting them control the situation. But they are impacted in this. If you want to introduce them to someone, then make sure they're ready for it. Is your new partner genuinely interested in meeting your kids, or are they doing it just because they feel like they have to? It's a big thing. Make sure they're wanting to do it. If they're just saying, yeah, okay, if you want, not good enough. It's not an if you want. It's your kids. It's your future. It's your life. It's, yeah, I'd love to meet your kids. I definitely want to meet them and see how everything works, 100%. That's what you want. Someone that is totally interested and 100% keen to see you and your kids all together and to see how that dynamic works. Not just, yeah, sure, if you want. No, that doesn't cut it. You want to make sure that they want to meet your kids. Don't force someone to do it. Don't pressure someone to do it. Do it when they're ready and when you're ready. And also, don't feel pressured to meet someone else's kids. You don't want someone to say, oh, I want you to meet my kids today. And you're like, whoa, I'm not ready for this. Say that. Don't feel like you have to be forced to meet someone's kids if you're not ready yet, if you're not there yet. And it's nothing wrong with you, that you're not a bad person, your relationship hasn't failed, or your relationship is not going to be over if you say, whoa, I'm not ready yet. It's totally okay to do that. And if they don't like you saying that, then are they the right person for you? Because the right person will be accepting of where you're at and will understand why you're not ready and be like, okay, sure, we'll do it in your time. That's the kind of response you want. And lastly, are you genuinely happy with where your relationship is at? Or are you doing it as a way just to hope that the relationship works, and you're seeing things that are not working and you just think that doing something good will maybe fix the relationship, will make it all better? No, wrong reason. Do it for all the right reasons. Do it because you see a future with this person. Do it because you're genuinely happy with this person. And you can genuinely see them being a good mother figure or father figure to your kids. And that's what you want. You don't just want it to be another random person in your world. It's someone that you can look at and go, yeah, I can see you getting along really well with my kids. I can see you being a great role model with my kids later down the track. That's what you want. Now, it's not about taking over the role of the mother or the father, but when they're with you and they're with the kids, they will be like a mother figure or like a father figure. Yes. And that's what you need to be able to accept. And that's where you need to be at with this person. Are you genuinely happy with them in that way and you can see that in them? Or there's things that you can see, or they've made comments about kids that you don't like, that don't make you feel comfortable, and you think, well, introducing them to your kids will make it all better. Do it for the right reasons, because that is not. Hoping that them meeting your kids will just make everything all better and it'll all be butterflies and rainbows. Doesn't work that way. And just remember, relationships are all about communication. Communicate. I cannot use that word enough. There's such a thing these days where people don't like to talk about things. They get triggered when people bring things up. They get triggered when people talk about things, and it just puts them off. It's actually a great thing to be able to have a great level of communication with your partner. That's what you want. So make sure when you're going through these big life-changing decisions, and even though introducing your kids is not as a big life-changing decision as it would be to get married or to move in together, it's still going to impact you, your life, your kids. So make sure you're doing it for all the right reasons and you talk about it with each other. It's not just, hey, come over and meet my kids. It's just like, I'd like you to meet my kids. Do you think you're ready for that? But also know, or also make sure that you've had that discussion about where you see your relationship going. Where do you see it headed? Are you both looking for a long-term relationship and you both know that? Are they just wanting a bit of fun? Are they just killing a bit of time while they're going through their divorce and their settlement? Those things happen. And you may not know it, but you just think because you're happy together, this must be it. But you haven't spoken about anything, so how do you know it's it? Never presume. Always have these conversations. And don't have these conversations in a narky, cranky way where it's going to cause confrontation. Have it in a nice casual tone. Hey, so where are you at? And remember, as I always say, if this person that you're in a relationship with does not want to have a conversation with you about the big serious things in your life related to your future, then is that someone you see a future with? Because you really want someone in your life that you can talk to, that you can communicate to, that you can bring things up to. You don't want someone that you're going to have to walk on eggshells for. You don't want someone that you're going to wake up one day and go, oh shit, this has happened, but I don't know how to talk to them about it. I don't know how to bring it up. They're going to get angry. You don't want that. You don't want a relationship where it's just walking on eggshells. You want to feel comfortable. You want to be seen. You want to be heard. That is what you want in a partner. And if you're with someone that you can't have these conversations, you're not being seen. You're not being heard. You're not being respected. And that is what you need. So Please remember, when you're introducing someone new to your kids and when you're ready to do that, it's not just about how long you've been together. It's about how you guys are as a couple, where you see your relationship going. So that's hopefully something that clarified a few things for you when you're looking to introduce your kids to someone new and bring your kids into your dating world, which is something, it can be a very exciting thing. It can be very exciting. But as I said, do it for the right reasons. Don't do it just to rush the relationship. Don't do it because you feel like things need to be going quicker. Don't do it because you feel like things need to be made better or things need to change. You both need to be on the same page and wanting the same things. And just in reference to that comment about rushing things, I cannot emphasize that comment enough either. There is no deadline to when you need to settle down with someone. There is no deadline as into when you should get married again or when you should be in a relationship again. So please don't feel like you need to rush anything. Take your time with it and things will happen at the right time. And they'll happen a lot easier when you can communicate about these things. So if this is where you're at, guys, and if you're at a place where you're wanting to meet the kids, you're wanting the partner to meet the kids, you're not sure, you're still undecided, you don't know how to approach it, then jump on and book a Q&A session. And that is exactly what those sessions are for. It's not a deep dive coaching session. It's one of those sessions where you're doing okay, but you've got some questions to ask, but social media just doesn't cut it. You don't get the answers you need from there. You just get the criticism. You get people commenting and judging based on their own personal situation. Jump on and have a Q&A session with someone that gets it, someone that understands. There's no judgment. It's neutral and we talk it out and we give you the best resolution and how to handle that situation. So that Q&A session is in my show notes. So jump on and grab it there. There's also that free one-on-one chat if you want to have that as well to get you started if you are looking at doing some coaching. And on that note, I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you guys. And I hope you did get something from this episode. If this is where you're at in your journey, I hope you did benefit from this. So let me know. Feel free to shoot me a message on Instagram, DM me, send me an email. I'd love to hear where you're at. If you have any questions, any feedback, I'm always here to hear where you guys are at and what you have to say. So feel free to shoot me a message. I love hearing from you all. So that's it, guys. That's about it from me. And remember, do not forget these tips when wanting to introduce your kids to your partner. Okay, guys, thank you again. And until next week, I'll be in your ears then. Thank you for joining us on the Life After Plus One podcast. If you loved what you heard today and looking for some further support, then jump onto our website, lifeafterplusone.com. Plus, don't forget to check out our Instagram page for further resources and inspo. You can find all the links in the show notes. And remember, you're not alone on this path. I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next episode. And in the meantime, keep thriving, keep growing, and keep exploring your amazing life after plus one.